Hey everyone, I'm Scott from Superphase, and this is our review of Donkey Kong Bananza for the Nintendo Switch 2 system. Nintendo's Switch 2 has been out in the wild for a little over 2 months now, and it has already become the fastest selling console in video game history. But someone is notably absent from this historic console launch, and it has players asking questions. The mustachioed Marvel Mario was last seen kart racing, but taking his place in the platforming spotlight is someone few would have predicted. He's big, he's hairy, and he just got a total makeover. Perfecting 3D platforming has been Nintendo's forte for decades, but with the popular plumber MIA, can the original 1981 powerhouse break through his established barriers and charm a new generation? Furthermore, could Donkey Kong Bananza actually surpass the platforming bliss of Super Mario Odyssey? Shigeru Miyamoto's iconic ape has had his moments, most notably for his arcade debut, which pushed the company to embrace character-based video games, and on the Super Nintendo with Rare's Donkey Kong Country series. That said, DK hasn't enjoyed the kind of innovation and spotlight of his Italian rival, and it's been sad to watch him slip into the background despite the heavy lifting he's done in the past. But that has all changed thanks to Nintendo executive Yoshiaki Koizumi, who specifically requested Mario's vacation be extended in order to give DK his chance to shine on Switch 2. When it comes to Donkey Kong games, the premise is simple, and with Bananza, not much has changed. We find DK mining underground at Ingot Isle with his compatriots as he discovers something incredible: Banandium gems. After finding a few, an evil corporation called Void Co. starts trouble, and it's up to DK to stop them, recover those delicious banana gems, and go as deep into the planet's core as possible to find more. Donkey Kong Bananza was built around one primal urge: destruction. Thanks to Nintendo's take on voxel technology, just about everything in the world can be broken, and the game's levels beg for punishment. Punching your way through enemies, structures, and rock faces is beyond satisfying, and the crunch of stone giving way to DK's fists is captured perfectly. There were more than a few times when I had to stop myself from entering fugue states of random attack in order to refocus on my current objective. I came to refer to this condition as getting Kong-brained. But the terrain isn't just for smashing. Sometimes you'll need to interact with it in clever ways to reach your objective. Rock and earth are common, but as you progress you'll discover materials with unique properties. Some shock, burn, and explode upon impact with the environment, and the way they interact with each other makes for some creative puzzle platforming segments. You'll also discover items in the terrain as you break it apart, like treasure chests, fossils, and gold, which can be used for different vendors. Pressing the R button initiates DK's hand slap, which not only collects loose items in radius, but activates sonar, highlighting hidden items in the terrain so you can dig them up. Donkey Kong's platforming ability is aided by use of the left trigger button, which engages his classic roll. This single mechanic brings back everything that made him so much fun to platform with back in the Donkey Kong Country games, and I'm happy to report that DK retains his signature mid-air jump just like the old days. Bananza mostly performs at 60 frames per second docked and handheld, but it isn't rock solid. Thankfully, the loss in performance when things really start bumping into each other is negligible, and it seems like Nintendo put thought into how to best disguise bigger dips in performance when battling multiple enemies at a time, which is appreciated. Early in his journey, Donkey Kong happens upon Oddrock, a purple little weirdo who falls into the caverns of Ingot Isle after Void Co.'s gravity shenanigans shake things up. It turns out Oddrock isn't your typical rock. It has the ability to sing, which is used to activate the most powerful abilities in the game. After meeting the Kong Elder, he agrees to teach DK his first Bananza, and Oddrock's true identity is revealed. Say hello to Pauline, the original Donkey Kong damsel from the 1981 arcade game and of Super Mario Odyssey fame. Pauline is fully voiced by actor and singer Jenny Kidd, and her performance is excellent. Jenny's powerful singing and cute voice work make Pauline the lovable sidekick you want to root for, and she's a good stand-in for the grunting DK during situations that call for some spoken dialogue. Pauline's relationship with Donkey Kong reminded me a lot of Disney's Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope von Schweetz, and their silly, warm, and fuzzy interactions are especially adorable. Pauline is also one of the best parts of Bananza's soundtrack. Kid's voice work and the feature theme Breaking Through is modern Nintendo at its apex, and feels right at home with Kate Higgins' performances in Jump Up Superstar and Break Free from Super Mario Odyssey. There are also new renditions of David Wise's classic tracks from the Donkey Kong Country games, and they all sound terrific. With full Bananergy, pressing L and R simultaneously makes Pauline break out in song, thus transforming DK into an animal form called a Bananza. These limited time transformations are powerful, with the Kong Bananza specifically granting the ability to punch through material you previously couldn't. It also helps to give enemies a serious beatdown in case you find yourself in a pinch. You'll discover different Bananzas as you travel toward the planet's core, so I won't spoil them here, but each transformation provides a suite of new skills that succeed in keeping things fresh as you descend layer by layer. Something I always appreciate in franchise titles is due respect paid to its series roots, and Bananza goes out of its way to give Rare its share of flowers. There were a lot of moments where I stopped playing just to appreciate all the little nods to past games, and it brought back many fond memories of my youth in the 90s. There may even have been a moment of fan service in Donkey Kong Bananza that got me so excited while playing at 3 AM that I screamed at the top of my lungs, dropped and nearly broke my Switch 2 Pro controller, and woke up my oldest child. The Donkey Kong Country games are to this day some of my favorite platformers, and the Super Mario Odyssey team seem to share much of my appreciation for the series. If you grew up loving Rare's games as much as I did, please do yourself a favor and see this game to its end. That's all I will say on the matter, just do it. It's for your own good. Donkey Kong Bananza is something truly special, and it's probably the best game you can buy right now for your Nintendo Switch 2. It's an adventure that celebrates Donkey Kong's history from beginning to end and provides platforming experiences that rival the best of Super Mario. DK feels better to control than ever, and the minor performance issues I encountered never managed to get in the way of the fun. I did have a few gripes though, and by the end of the game, they did manage to sour things a tad. Boss battles were over way too quickly, and that was a sad reality that continued level to level. On the opposite end of the spectrum, a single endgame boss presented such an annoying difficulty spike, it drained a lot of the excitement I had for the end of the story. It's possible I was unprepared going in since I didn't invest many skill points into carrying extra apple juice, but the journey up to that point felt consistent difficulty-wise and never seemed to warrant bolstering my current health reserves. Another complaint was one I originally had with Super Mario Odyssey, and when it reared its ugly head again in Bananza, it irritated me all over again. In Odyssey, there were stops during the journey when Mario and Cappy would happen upon an interesting level, only to later discover it was just meant to be a transition area or an empty arena for a boss battle. The Ruin Kingdom comes to mind. This actually happens even more frequently in Bananza than it did in Odyssey, and when I look back at each of the layers I'd visited after finishing the game, it was hard not to feel a little robbed of some interesting experiences. At least 6 of the 17 layers served as transition areas, and though I believe Nintendo felt it served things to pad Bananza with these segments, it still rubbed me the wrong way. Credit where due, at least Bananza made the effort to hide a couple challenge levels and Banandium gems in most of these layers. We've been comparing Donkey Kong Bananza to Super Mario Odyssey a lot, but even though these games share much of the same DNA, when they are firing on all cylinders, they push the platforming genre in their own distinct directions. To me, Bananza doesn't feel like a Super Mario Odyssey spin-off with voxel tech and physics. Its ideas stand on their own, all while bending the boundaries of level design to the extreme. But at the end of the day, a Donkey Kong game mentioned in the same breath as the legendary Odyssey is a serious achievement for Nintendo that shouldn't be downplayed. In closing, I loved my time with Donkey Kong Bananza, and my heart is full knowing so many patient fans got their wish for a great Donkey Kong game after all these years. Bananza is far and away the best in the series, and I can't wait for even more Nintendo adventures with DK front and center. We here at Superphase give Donkey Kong Bananza a 9 out of 10. Thanks for taking the time to check out Superphase and our review of Donkey Kong Bananza. Don't forget to subscribe for more gaming reviews, updates, and discussions. We really appreciate your feedback and support. Be safe, be well, and cheers!